break, and we'll get started with the Strategic Planning Committee.
Good morning. We now would like to start the Strategic Planning Committee, and there are about 3 or 4 items that we have for discussion today. And one of the first items I'd like to do is have the approval of the minutes. I'd like to thank my co-chair for filling in as the chair of the October 27th meeting. So I'd like to entertain a motion for...
Move the minutes. Second.
It's been moved and second. All those in favor of the minutes, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay. Motion carries. Move on to now item number 3, the establishment of a center for Florida A&M University in Crestview, Florida.
You do have a second set of minutes because there was a conference call and then a follow-up meeting. So there is.
Move those.
Okay.
Thank you.
Moved in second. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Okay. Motion carries. Thank you. Now moving on to number 3. At the last board meeting, the subject of the Florida A&M University establishing an educational center site at Crestview, Florida was discussed. The Crestview site is in close proximity to the University of West Florida. There were concerns expressed about the duplication of UWF academic programs. Subsequent to that discussion, the presidents of Florida A&M University and University of West Florida met along with their respective staffs and discussed the academic programming for Crestview. Florida A&M has also asked the board to revisit the proposal, provide additional clarification on a number of items. Florida A&M University has now determined that it is in the best interest of all parties if they first concentrate on expanding the pharmacy program in Crestview and ensuring that it meets all necessary accreditation standards. The University of West Florida supports the location of the FAMU pharmacy at Crestview, and Florida A&M plans to work with local colleges and the University of West Florida to coordinate any future programs on that particular site. At this point, I would like to recognize President Ammons for a brief presentation on this item. President Ammons.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Chancellor Brogan. When FAMU was given status as a land-grant institution, it was envisioned that the university would engage in extension and outreach to transform lives and communities. Moreover, over the years, FAMU has developed a sterling reputation in health disciplines, especially in pharmacy. When invited to respond to a critical shortage of licensed pharmacists in the Great Northwest, we responded and have worked for over 3 years now to meet this need by starting a PharmD program in the city of Crestview. I want to thank the people of Crestview for this opportunity and for their support. This support was made evident by the city of Crestview donating a building to house this program. I want to thank the legislature for providing the funding to renovate this building and for the appropriation to hire the faculty and staff. I'm going to have our provost, Dr. Hughes Harris, come and give highlights of the program, but before I do that, I want to introduce some of our supporters for this program from Crestview. We have with us today in the audience Senator Greg Evers, former Senator Darrell Peaton, who sponsored this legislation, Okaloosa County Commissioner Wayne Harris, Crestview City Council President Charles Baugh, and Roger Robinson, former aide to Senator Peaton, is also here. Also joining us is the mayor of Crestview, Mayor David Cradle. I also want to thank President Bentz and the University of West Florida for their cooperation in working with us to bring this proposal to its current form. And I also want to thank the Board of Governors for your consideration of this request to establish this site for Florida A&M University in Crestview so that we can address a critical need for this region of the state and also provide an alternative for students who would otherwise leave the state of Florida to pursue degrees in pharmacy. At this time, I would like to bring our Provost, Dr. Cynthia Hughes Harris, to give highlights of the program.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I, too, want to echo my gratitude to the citizens of Crestview who have supported this initiative for so long. I want to provide a few highlights of what we see happening in Crestview as we establish our PharmD program. Let's begin by keeping in mind that we did have a very productive discussion with our colleagues at the University of West Florida. That discussion led not only to a modification of our goals for Crestview, but it led to a very exciting possibility for different kinds of collaborations between our two institutions outside of Crestview. So I certainly extend thanks to our colleagues at the University of West Florida also. We want to keep in mind that we use not only the FAMU strategic plan, but also the Board of Governors strategic plan as we designed the program at Crestview. We will not be offering at Crestview any lower division courses. It is intended to be a 4-year professional PharmD degree. That's 2 years undergraduate, upper division, and 2 graduate level years. We expect that our students will come from University of West Florida, other colleges within the Panhandle region, other universities and colleges within the state, and possibly regions in southern Alabama and South Georgia. The important part of this entire initiative is our commitment, FAMU's commitment to rural health, to the Rural Diversity Healthcare Initiative, which is designed to address critical health disparities that exist in the Florida Panhandle and to expand opportunities for students, for those who are obtaining training in healthcare arenas, in this case, pharmacy. As we engaged in discussions with our local partners in Crestview, as our faculty and staff discussed the possibilities for Crestview, we ran across some supportive information, some supporting information that I would like to share with you. Studies have concluded that by virtue of having pharmacy students in a geographic region, just the presence of those students, the presence of a pharmacy school, influences positively the level of the quality of health of citizens within that community. So if we look at a rural area such as the Western Panhandle, we are anticipating the citizens of Crestview, the citizens of the region, the citizen of the entire western, from Pensacola to Jacksonville and down to Key West, everyone is anticipating that by virtue of having pharmacy students, a pharmacy school in this particular region, that the health care of our citizens will have greater opportunities for improvement. It's also documented that most students who engage in internships, clerkships, clinical rotations, but most pharmacy students who have their advanced pharmacy practice experience in a region will tend to work within that state in which they had their advanced pharmacy practice experience. That's important for us because we know that there is a shortage of pharmacists, and we know that pharmacy is one of the targeted academic programs within our state. We have over 1,200 applicants now for our main campus, for the pharmacy program in Tallahassee. We accept 150 students. By adding this program at Crestview, we are anticipating that this will give additional options for students and that some of the students who would be applying to the Tallahassee campus will now decide to apply to the Crestview campus. We currently have over 31 students. We have exactly 31 students right now in Tallahassee who are from the Western Panhandle region. We anticipate that there will be more now that they will have an option for a pharmacy program at Crestview. And I also want to emphasize the fact that students from this region will have additional weight added to their application, which gives them a preferred admission status. We've talked about distance learning, and distance learning will be a part of the Crestview offering. But it's not going to be a total distance learning program because face-to-face instruction and contact with students is indeed critical. We will offer the full complement of courses at Crestview using the two methods of face-to-face contact and distance education. We anticipate right now that at the end of 10 years, we will have a maximum of 120 students, 60 at the undergraduate upper division level, 60 at the graduate level. We will begin the program next fall with 5 students at the graduate level, beginning the advanced pharmacy practice. We're very focused on maintaining high-quality standards for this program in Crestview so that it parallels the quality of the program that we have in Tallahassee. We have reviewed all of the accreditation standards that will allow us to make certain that we are indeed offering a high-quality program. One of those standards indicates that we do have to have personnel on board anywhere from 6 to 12 months prior to the beginning of the program. Therefore, we have already begun identifying what positions we will have to bring on board very quickly once the program is approved. Everything from a site director to librarian and technical assistants and so on. That's to make certain that there's planning time and that the program is consistent with what we offer in Tallahassee. We have created a timeline for all of the phases of this program implementation, and again, we expect the program to begin classes for the full offerings hopefully on or before August 2012. That being said, that's our overview of Crestview. I'm certain that we are all open for questions if there are any.
Okay, thank you. President Benz would like to have any comments?
We're fine with this. We've collaborated on it. We support the pharmacy program in Crestview, Florida A&M University.
Okay, thank you. Governor Rood.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I've got a couple of questions. You mind if I just go through them all?
Certainly.
First of all, I do applaud your support of Crestview, and I know you're going to have a tremendously, a huge impact on that community. 120 new students plus the faculty, obviously is going to have a huge impact. I have to admit that in these economic times, and we keep getting bad news, is this the time that we want to start a new center? And I think I need to understand your plans, your vision, and some of the relationships a little bit better before I can answer that question. I was told earlier that this is a partnership with the Department of Health, and I've got a couple questions relating to that partnership. Are you sharing operating costs? Are you sharing the use of the facilities? And to what degree?
I'll start with your first question. The vision that we've always had for Florida A&M University is that we would be an institution that would be relevant to the communities and to the state of Florida. We think that given the critical need that we have and the fact that in this region of the state, we are having students who seek opportunities outside of the state of Florida for this degree, that we will have an opportunity to keep some of the best and brightest talent in the state of Florida. This program is being funded by a direct appropriation that came through the Department of Health. And so the funds to hire the faculty, to renovate the building, all came as a direct appropriation to the Department of Health. which now come to Florida A&M. As I said before, the building, which is over 30,000 square feet, was donated to the university by the city of Crestview. So no capital costs, except for renovation, are involved in delivering this program. We think that this is a sustainable program due to the mere fact that Crestview is one of the fastest growing cities in the state of Florida. And the needs that are there now, and multiplied by the growth that we will see in this region, will give us the opportunity to sustain the program.
So what percentage is the Department of Health occupying and what percentage are you occupying?
FAMU is 100% occupying the space. The building, again, was donated to FAMU by the city of Crestview to deliver this program.
Oh, okay, I'm still confused. What's the Department of Health's role in it? I thought this was a Department of Health initiative.
It is a Department of Health appropriation that was directed and earmarked for FAMU to deliver this program.
Okay, so they're not occupying it, they're not paying the operating and maintenance costs of it?
That is correct.
Okay, I'm sorry. In our retreat, we talked about the importance of strategic plan and making sure we follow that plan, and also as that plan relates to excellence, and I will admit that your program is known as an excellent program, that we reward the universities and participate as good partners with them when they do follow that plan and they do pursue their excellence. So I haven't been able to get an answer. Was the Crestview a location that was originally part of your strategic plan?
The pharmacy program at Florida A&M has sites in every region of the state except the Great Northwest. The Great Northwest was always, in fact, before I left in 2001 as provost, we were planning to have a presence in the Great Northwest.
Okay. So the plan was to be in that area, not that community, and the community created an opportunity to implement your plan. Okay.
That's correct.
And then, maybe I just don't understand students today, but you're not going to have an issue attracting students to, and faculty to a small community with a very limited academic environment, I guess I'd call it, or campus life, compared to attracting students to Tallahassee, where you've got, a larger facility, more students, a lot of, other things to do. And again, nothing against Crestview, but it seems a rather unique situation. And if I look at sustainability, you felt the growth is going to take care of that sustainability. You're comfortable with being able to attract the faculty and the students into that? Okay.
I am. I'm very comfortable that we will be able to attract the faculty and the students to this region.
And my last question, and you and I talked earlier about sustainability, and you answered it in terms of growth of the community, your confidence in Crestview's ability to continue to grow, and that related to sustainability. My look at sustainability is a little bit different. I look at the financial aspect of it, and our tuition structure clearly doesn't cover 100% of the costs, ongoing costs, and we need general revenue to cover that. With general revenue not growing, can you just give me a snapshot that I can get comfortable with, that we can afford this program, in years ahead?
Well, thanks to action that the Board of Governors took that would allow programs like the pharmacy program to have a tuition structure that would be different from the tuition structure of traditional programs in the university. In fact, when we take a look at the cost for a student receiving a pharmacy degree at Florida A&M University, is significantly lower now than it is at the University of Florida and some of the private institutions that offer pharmacy in the state. So as we look at revenue generation going out and the fact that Governor Franklin would tell you, as a pharmacy student, pharmacy graduates do very well once they graduate. And I think they would be willing to pay the cost to get a degree that would give them a high-paying career.
So the flexibility in the tuition structure for pharmacy at undergraduate and graduate will allow this program to pay for itself under the tuition.
Well, yes, and again, the fact that there is a $1.5 million recurring appropriation that came as a part of this for us to hire the faculty and the staff.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Are there any questions by any other committee members? Governor Beard?
As an old real estate guy, how much of the building will the pharmacy school occupy? All of it or a part of it? And if...
All of it.
All of it, okay.
Governor Parker?
I know that we had an opportunity to recognize Senator Peden, and he raised his hand, but I'd like to ask him to come up. I know that this was in his district, and this was something he was very involved in, and I'm very interested in, based upon your knowledge of the region, how you see that we'll be able to fulfill the mission that a program like this would have in this area.
Madam Chairman, could I just go back a step or two to where I got the idea of this?
That'd be great.
I was asked to go to speak for the legislature in Boston 4 or 5 years ago, probably 4 years ago, and I'd never seen Yale, and we happened to drive up, and I stopped at Yale. And I wanted to see the Winchester firearms factory that had been up there in New Haven for 150 years, and I went to the factory one Saturday, and unfortunately it was closed, and I got in the car and I looked across the street, and there was an old factory building there, built before the turn of the century, and had a little sign. It was about 18 inches long and about 2.5 inches wide, and it said Yale Medical School. And I said, Nancy, I said, that reminds me of something. I said, I don't know what it is, but look at that factory. It's a beautiful factory. They've turned it into an educational facility, and other than the small sign, you'd never realize that was part of Yale's medical school. At 6:45, I woke up the next morning and I said, there's a factory building in Crestview. It's been sitting there vacant for 25 years. It's more beautiful than this building at Yale. It has huge picture windows. It has survived 3 tornadoes and wasn't blown down. It's 4 or 5 bricks thick. I said, we ought to do something to try to have more education in Crestview. If Yale can use a factory, maybe we can use that to educate kids. I happened to meet Dr. Amons when he came